Hello, Math 7 students. Today we are going to begin video number 7. The name of the lesson for video 7 is Representing Proportional Relationships with Equations, found on page 21 in my comp book. Okay, so representing proportional relationships with equations. Today we are going to learn how to write an equation that has a constant in it. The question that I want you to be thinking about during this lesson is, how can the unit rate be used to write an equation of a proportional relationship? Things to remember. Proportional relationships have a constant. A constant is the amount that the x value changes to get the y value. A common equation. A common equation that I would like to introduce to you today is y equals mx. That means that you are taking y and getting it as a result of multiplying m and x together. Remember that the y is the dependent. It depends on the x value changing. M is the constant. This is how the x value changes. And the last thing that I need you to remember is x is the independent, the value that gets changed. So whenever you are multiplying a value by the constant, that means that that value is the x value, okay? So those are some important vocabulary words that you need to know in order to understand the common equation of y equals mx. All right, I'm going to turn the page, and we're going to take a look at the next page and see what we have to do. So we have a task. Before we start talking about the task, however, I would like you to remember that when you change a page, you need to put the title at the top so that we remember what notes go in which lesson. Representing proportional relationships with equations. The task that I want you to work on is, your mother has accelerated onto the freeway. You notice the low fuel light is on. The nearest gas station is 26 miles away. Here is a table of how the car's gas mileage works. So on our ratio table, we have gallons and we have miles. So this table is telling us for every 8 gallons the car uses, it travels 224 miles. For every 10 gallons that it uses, it travels 280 miles. And for every 4 gallons it uses, it travels 112 miles. So this ratio table is very helpful in us understanding how far you can travel on the number of gallons of gas. The first thing that we need to think about with this ratio table is, will you make it to the next gas station? So let's go back and notice. Your mother is accelerated on the freeway. You notice the low fuel light is on. The nearest gas station is 26 miles away. Here is a table to show the car's gas mileage works. So basically, we have to figure out by looking at this table, will we have enough gas to get to the next gas station? The way that you can figure it out is by trying to figure out what the unit rate would be. But before we do that, the next question that I want you to think about is, can you make it on a half a gallon? Okay? So basically, what I would like you to do is I would like you to take a look at the ratio table with me. And we have gallons per mile. Gallons is the independent because the gallons will always sit in the tank. Miles depend on those gallons being there, so it's the dependent. Remember that the independent is the x, the dependent is the y, and we know 8 gallons get you 224 miles, 10 gallons get you 280 miles, and 4 get you 112 miles. So the question that I want to know is, how far can we travel on 1 gallon of gas? So in order to figure that out, we can look at it in 2 ways. We could ask, how did we get from 8 to 1? Or we could ask, how did we get from 10 to 1? And the reason that I want you to notice that is, what is in the ones place of both of these numbers? It is a 0. So if we divide both of these by 10, you will notice something really easy. What is 10 divided by 10? That is correct. 10 divided by 10 is 1. What is 280 divided by 10? And if you don't know that right off the top of your head, let's look at it closely together to see if we can figure it out quickly. So 280 divided by 10. Well, 10 goes into 28 only 2 times. So that would be 20 with a remainder of 8. Bring down the 0. How many times does 10 go into 80? That is correct, 8 times. So we know that 280 divided by 10 gives us 28. So now what we have learned by finding the unit rate is that if we have 1 gallon of gas, we can travel 28 miles. So the question is, will you make it to the next gas station? So I'm having a feeling that if we have 1 gallon of gas, we will make it. But if we have less than 1 gallon of gas, I don't know if we'll make it. What would happen if we only had a half a gallon? How did you get from 1 to a half? What did you do? That's right, you divided by 2. So we have to divide both sides by 2. And what is 28 divided by 2? If you don't know, we'll do it together. 28 divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So we now know that for a half a gallon of gas, you can travel 14 miles. So let's go back to these questions. Will you make it to the next gas station? Well, the answer to that question for me would be, how much gas did we actually have in the car? Because it doesn't tell me how much gas we actually have. It does tell me that the low fuel light is on, but it doesn't tell me what that means. We did find out, can you make it on a half a gallon of gas? If we only have a half a gallon in the car, can we make it to the next gas station? And the answer to that one that you found should be no, because the next gas station is 26 miles away, and a half a gallon of gas only gets us 14 miles. How far can you go on 6 gallons? So basically, we're going back to that ratio table, and we're still using it. So it's asking, what if you had 6 gallons? Well, we know how far we can travel on 1 gallon, so the question that we ask ourselves this time is, how do you get from 1 to 6? How did I get from 1 to 6? That's right, I multiplied it by 6. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So we're going to take 28 times 6, and we get 48. Regroup the 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 13, 14, 15, 16. So how many miles can we travel on 6 gallons of gas? We can travel 168 miles. Okay? Boys and girls, I'm hoping that by these questions, you are becoming very, very comfortable with using the ratio table to help find out the answers to different questions. Last one that we have to do on this one is, how much gas is needed to travel 504 miles? So you will notice this practice problem is different because they give you the miles this time. So the question is, what is our constant? 28. So we're asking, what times 28 gives us an answer of 504? So what number times 28 equals 504? Now, in order to figure that one out, what the blank is, we are going to have to take 504 and divide it by 28 to figure out how many times that works. So I know that 28 can go into 50 one time. Okay, and then we're going to subtract. So we get 4, regroup, that's a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. 22 is smaller than 28, so we may keep going. Bring down your 4, and now we have 224 divided by 28. I don't know what that is, so let's just try some numbers. We know that 28 times 6 is 168, which is too small. So let's try 9 and see what we get. Oh, no, we don't even need to do that. Go back to your ratio table. How many do we have left? 224. Ha ha ha. Look at your ratio table right there. Did we even have to do times 9? The answer is no. We just have to do times 8, which is exactly 224. And so we now know that in order to go 504 miles, how many gallons of gas would we need? We would need 18. So the answer that sits right here in your table is it takes 18 gallons to go 504 miles. Okay? All right. Really quickly, I want you guys to take a look at this. Who can tell me what the constant is? What did we multiply everything on this table to get our answers? So 8 times what number gives us 224? The answer is 28. 10 times what number gave us 280? The answer is 28. 4 times what number gave us 112? The answer is 28. 1 times what number gave us 28? 28. A half times what number gave us 14? 28. 6 times what number gave us 168? 28. And 18 times what number gave us 504? The answer is 28. So boys and girls, remember how we learned to do this. What is the constant of this task? If you said the constant is 28, you are correct. So basically what we have to do now is we have to write an equation that helps us. And if we go back to what we learned on the other page, we learned that the y happens as a result of multiplying any x value by the constant. So what is the constant, everybody? The constant is 28. So to write an equation, we're going to write y equals, what's our constant again, everybody? 28 times x. So whatever x we put in there, if we multiply it by 28, we will get our y value. Boys and girls, do you see what we're doing when we use this equation? And this equation is the same as this equation because the y's equal each other, the constant equals 28, and the x's equal each other. So now you can see how that equation works. What you will do every time you use it, instead of writing m, you're going to tell me exactly what the constant is. Okay? I hope that makes sense to everybody. I hope that feels comfortable. So let's go back to our question of the lesson. And our question of the lesson was, how can the unit rate be used to write an equation of the proportional relationship? The answer for that question is very, very crucial in remembering that the constant is the unit rate. The constant is the unit rate, and then you're going to remember this equation. So y equals the constant times x. Okay? All right, kiddos, I will see you tomorrow.